Namaste. Let us begin our appointment with the Self. Sit back, sit straight, fold your hands and the fingers into each other in this manner. Keep it on your lap, or you may rest them on your thighs. Close your eyes softly. Your eyelids should be closed softly. Don't exert too much of pressure on it. Softly. Look straight and try to keep your backbone straight. Breathe deeply, or just watch your breath incoming and outgoing. Just watch it. How the air is filling up your lungs and getting exhaled. You can watch this for few minutes and then you may chant Om, Omkara, or take Ishvara's name. Let us do that today and begin our appointment with the Self. Om Namah Shivaya. 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 Namah Shivaya. Salutations unto Lord Shiva. I pray unto Lord to help me know myself, which is Satchit Ananda, and which is non-different from Shiva himself. Shiva means auspiciousness, truth. This Shiva really stands for the truth, for the fundamental truth of the creation as well as myself. I pray and offer my salutations unto Shiva to help me understand and abide in my true nature, that is Atma, Chidananda Rupaha. Let us today look into the different causes of our disturbance and try to solve them in the light of the knowledge of the self. I often find myself to be sad, unhappy. What is the reason for it? There may be any number of reasons which cause sadness in me. But now, in this meditation, let us inquire into the cause of sadness. Is it because of some death, some event happening outside, or is it because things are not going my way? But how do they touch the self? How can they affect Atma? Self is not subject to birth, death. There is no coming and going of the self. In fact, the concept of time doesn't touch the self. Birth and death belong to the body. Body is born, and in course of time it is subject to death. What comes goes. There is no Nityatvam in Anatma. Non-self is ever finite. It is always bound by time. Everything that comes goes. But does it in any way affect or touch the self? No. Phenomenon like birth, death, disease, old age, and anything for that matter cannot touch or affect the self. Self is infinite. It is never born and it never dies. It is not that the self was not at a given time and will not be after a given time. It ever is. Na abhavo vidyate satah. Satah means the reality, the absolute reality. The nature of this reality is Sat, which means it is ever existent. Then, why am I afraid of death? Death belongs to the body. Disease, ailments occur in the gross body. And the self is the illuminator of the body, not the body. Self is drashta and the body is drishya, which means self is the witness, the seer, and the body and everything that is happening out there is known and objectified by the self. The knower is different from the known. The sadness occurs because I, due to ignorance, join the witness and the witnessed, the seer and the seen. That which are different and distinct are joined by me out of ignorance. That the seer and the seen are one is a false conclusion. Due to ignorance and aviveka, which means non-discriminating the real from the unreal, I superimpose the attributes of the seen upon the seer, and then suffer. In the seat of meditation, in this appointment with myself, let us become very clear, crystal clear, that self is asangaha, totally untouched by birth, death, disease, age, etc. it ever is, it shines. And is ever happiness and fullness. In view of this reality about myself, let us now also probe into the reasons for my anxiety, fear, stress, and impulses like anger, desire, jealousy, and all such thoughts which leave me disturbed and stressed out. Truly speaking, these thoughts cannot in any way overpower or influence the self. What am I afraid of? That there is someone or for that matter things outside are happening in such a way that causes fear in me. Let us look into this and see whether fear is legitimate or not. I am afraid that people outside will unsettle me. But looking at my reality, who is this other one? Who is this second which poses a threat to me? Is there a second one? Scriptures declare that self is one without a second. Truth is just one, then what about the world? What about the people in the world? What about the circumstances? They are all nothing but an appearance. They are not in reality something that stands on its own. Everything is comparable to one appearing as many, just as gold appears in the form of different ornaments. Whether it is a bangle or a chain or a ring, it is nothing but gold in those forms. Gold appearing as ornaments. There is no need for a bangle to be scared of the chain and vice versa. Why? Because it is one gold. Similarly, Sarvabhutastamatmanam Sarvabhutani cha Atmani. Bhagavad Gita says, there is one self, the Atma, the reality, pervading the entire creation. The reality of everything is the Self. In and through all the names and forms is one content, and that is the Self. Then what am I afraid of? There is no other. There is not even a trace of duality. It is like different people appearing in dream. In dream, a whole dream world is created. But what is that dream world? What is the reality of that dream. It is nothing but an imagination. The dreamer has become the dream, and coming to think of it, has the dreamer really become the dream? No. It is just a dream, which means all that he sees in the dream is nothing but the vibration of his mind. What we call the dream world is nothing but the dreamer. His mind. Similarly, please keep in mind that this entire creation, which we see before us, and in which we find I interacting with the world, is comparable to the dream world. One has become many, just as the dreamer becomes the dream world without really becoming. Dream appears for a while and then again disappears into the dreamer. Similarly, this entire creation of plurality, full of diversity, full of different names and forms, which today intimidate me and from which I am trying to run away, and which bothers me today, creates fear in me, anxiety in me, is nothing but comparable to the dream. Do not give reality to it. What we see in dream is not really out there. It is nothing but my mind imagining all that. Similarly, this entire creation, which appears as real, is apparent. It is mithya, which means it is an appearance. The self appearing as the creation, just as the dreamer appears as the dream world. So, everything that is causing pain to you, bothering you, is not real. It is nothing but an appearance. It is said, Kalpayatyatmanatmanam Atma Deva Swamayaya. The self or the Atma imagines in itself, by itself, all the names and forms, and then watches it. Sa eva buddhyate bhedan. So what we call the world is mithya. What we call as other, different from me, threatening me, posing a problem for me, is nothing but an appearance. Like mirage water, like dream world. So, truly speaking, there is no cause for fear, for anxiety, for stress, no reason, no substantial reason exists for my unhappiness. I cannot be afraid of the shadows. Just as when we wake up from the dream, we come to know that what all happened in the dream does not really exist. Similarly, we have to wake up to the true nature of the self, to know that There is no cause for fear, for sadness, for anxiety, because there is none other than me. Self is the only substantial reality, and it is beautiful. It is Sat Chit Ananda, existence, consciousness, and happiness. I am Satchidananda Swarupoham, Anandoham, Shantoham. Tell me, where is the cause for sadness? There is no cause at all for sadness, anxiety, fear, and whatever is disturbing you, nothing at all. Come back to the reality of the self. Aham nirvikalpo nirakara rupah vibhur vyapya sarvatra sarvendriyanam. I am Nirvikalpaha. Nirvikalpa means there is no duality, no second one. Self is Nirvikalpaha, Nirakaraha, formless, attributeless. I am always same. There is no phenomenon called bondage, and for that matter, liberation also is not there in me, because self is ever free, ever free, ever liberated. Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham Shivoham Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham Shivoham. I am Chit Ananda Swarupa. I am Shiva. Let me abide in this nature of myself. Try to remain and understand with your nature. Try to be that, shirking all erroneous notions. In this manner, Nididhyasana. Nididhyasana means meditating upon the self will enable you to own up and abide in your true nature. There is nothing like it. The beautiful self is waiting for me to own it up. There is nothing like the self. Let me know myself and abide in it. Shivoham. 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 Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. In this manner, one can have appointment with the self, meaning spend quality time with yourself in trying to understand the self, become familiar with it, and in course of time you will not even have to remind yourself as to who you are. This knowledge will become spontaneous. Thank you. Namaste.